So I'm Raghaveni, Department of working as an assistant professor in the Department of EC. So today I'm going to talk about the machine learning. Why we go for machine learning? What is the use of machine learning, and what are the different types of classifications we do under machine learning? All these things we are going to study in detail in this video. So what you're going to do is first we are going to see the content. First is the introduction to machine learning, how the supervised learning works. Next is going to be you are going to study about what is supervised learning and its types. Next is going to be on the real time of application of supervised learning, and what is unsupervised learning, how it works, and what are its different types. Under real time applications, then we move for a comparison of supervised and unsupervised learning. So then we are going to conclude the content what we have studied so far. So first we'll see that what is a machine learning. A machine learning is classified into three categories. One is artificial intelligence. That is nothing but a subfield of artificial intelligence is the machine learning. All right. So next is going to be, it is one of the subfield of the machine learning. So next, how we are going to learn from the data. It enables the system to learn the character, whatever may be the features from the data. It identifies the patterns and make the decision with the minimum intervention of human being. Next, we are going to see the types of learning, categorized primarily into supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. Before dealing with this category, first we should know about what is data science, what is data analytics, and how it has been processed to different section of machine. So first we should know how it has been gathered. First thing is data science. Data science is the nothing but we are going to collect the information. We are going to collect the information of any specific for example, if I'm going to go with any medical lab, so if I'm going to go for any testing process, so they'll take the blood samples and they go with a different classification of what within the same blood, what are the main number of what identification or the classification or whatever the test they can able to do with the blood samples, they will categorize. So with the minimum data, with the data, I'm collecting so many with the blood samples, I'm collecting so many data from the blood sample, and I can able to collect all those things. So single information providing a multiple data I can get from that. After collecting it, this is about the data sets, collection of different information. Next, we are going to see what is the data analytics. After collecting those information, we are going to tell about what the information, what the data, what we collected says. What is, if this is a sample I'm going to get, this is a reference range, and this is the what observed range. So if this is a range, what will happen? What will be there? So we are going to narrate a story about the data which has been collected from the data science. So this is the so your data analytics is nothing but is describing the information what we have collected from the data. So next is going to be your how we are going to make the machine to learn it. We are going to make a machine to understand this concept. So machine is going to what the machine does not know what the human being thinks. We have to train the machine such a way that it can able to understand what we think. Such a way we have to train first the machine, and then only based on the training only the machine will understand what we are about to say. So many classifications, so many characteristics, or so many data regarding a particular information if you give it, or so many specification if you give it, the machine becomes more and more trained with the data, and it can able to, even if I give any data related to that, it can able to analyze it, and it can able to say that this is the required thing you need it. So this is how we train the machine, and we make the machine to learn it from our data. So this is about the data science, data analysis, and machine learning. I think you would have understood what is this. Next, we told that there are different classifications we go for. So what they say is that you can broadly classify machine learning into different categories. First is going to be your supervised learning. Next is going to be unsupervised learning. Third category is semi-supervised learning. So these are the three types of learning process we do under machine process. So first we'll see that what is supervised learning. Supervised learning is something from the name itself we are able to understand somebody is required to supervise the data or supervise the information or supervise the process what we do with it. So if you go to any industry, what is also the workers will be given a what target. So when the target has been given, the worker has to work towards the target and they have to achieve the output. Somebody is given a key, so the people are working towards the key information and they are providing. So somebody is supervising it. Somebody is giving the instruction. Towards the instructions the people are doing. So supervision has been done for making the work to be completed. So that is called supervised learning. Supervised learning is a machine learning approach where the model learns from the labeled data. Whatever the data we gave it, from that it tries to analyze what is given. So next is it's a definition of the supervised learning. Next, what do you mean by labeled data? In the definition, they have given labeled data. What is the labeled data? So the labeled data says that each training examples includes both the input features and the corresponding output. So we have an input and we have an output. Then what is the use of a machine? So I've given the input, I've given the output. Then what is the role of making the machine to learn? Yes, it's a good question. What we are going to try to analyze here is when the input has been given, the machine is going to understand what the input data is and it create a pattern and it finds that whether the pattern gets matches with the output what you have given. So your output is a dependent variable, whereas your input is an independent variable. So whatever the input I have varied, the corresponding variations I should find it at the output. So the output variations is entirely dependent on the input. So what they say is that, so we are going to make the labeled data to make the perfect, we are making the machine to work as accurately as possible so that the input and the output are getting perfectly matched with each other. According to that, we are going to train the machine. Sorry. Next is going to be the analogy. Analogy is example we are going to give it. A learning with a teacher or supervisor who provides correct answer. So for example, if you have a different classification, we can get many examples. Food classification, vegetable classifications, or shape classification. How these different shapes can be classified, whether it is a rectangle or a circle or a triangle, like that we can tell. If this, so for classifying that, I have to give a specification. So if this is the specification, if you find it, then you should analyze this is a triangle. If this is a specification, you should analyze this is the circle. Like that, I have to specify. I have to make the machine to understand if these are the specifications. If you find it out, then you should analyze this is the circle, this is the triangle. Similarly, I can also take fruits. Fruits means I can say it is an apple, it is an orange, it is an grapes, like that. So if it is a grape means I have to specify how it will be. What will be the color of the grapes? Because the machine does not know what this is a grape of. So I have to make the machine to understand. So if this is a shape and the size is small, this is a grape. If it is in red in color, this is a apple. If this is an orange in color, it is an orange. It should be in rounded form. It should be like this, like that. All the specifications. So if I give a less specification, it can able to. So when I give a next time the fruits, it can able to do. If I want, so in that also we have in the apple also we have different colors. So if I want to be more specific, if I give a more kind of information about the fruits or whatever maybe the examples we take it. So more and more specification if give it, the machine get trained towards the data and it make as accurate as possible as an output. This is the analogy. Next is going to be your goal. To learn the mapping function from the input variable X to an output variable Y so that it can predict the output for new unseen data. So it is going to predict. We are going to analyze We are going to make a confirm that the machine is doing a perfect work. This is about the supervised learning. So now we are going to see that how the supervised learning works. So what we are going to do? With first process is we are going to collect the data. We are going to gather the data based on the information. Next, after collecting the data, we have to go for labeling the data. So what either we can do manually or we can able to do automatically also with the data what we have got. Next is going to be after labeling the data, we are going to go for training the machine. So what for that we need an algorithm which is fed the labeled data, training data. It adjusts the internal parameter to minimize the difference between the predicted output and the actual label. That is, so we make the machine we are going to give a training so that the difference what we are going to get, actually we know the output and also we know the input also. So suppose after giving the input, if the machine is going to train in such a way with the labeled data, after doing the label, it is going to train the data and it's going to predict the output. That output and the, which has been already available with the output, we are going to find the closeness. We are going to find out what similarity it is. If the similarity is somewhat different, if the difference is more, then we have to make something to make it adjust so that what kind of information still more I can give to the machine to learn perfectly to make the difference as simple as possible or minimize as minimum as possible. So this is how we give a proper algorithm to train the machine to make the predicted value and the existing output differences very small. So next is going to be an evaluation process, how the model evaluated. The trained model is tested on the unseen label data to access its accuracy and generalization is evident. So next is going to be a prediction. Prediction is once if it is get validated, the model can predict the outcomes for the new and unlabeled data. Once if it has been trained properly, so if any information regarding that, if I give it, the machine can be able to analyze and give the correct output. So similarly, this is a one set. Similarly, I can go for different sets of data, different examples. I can take it, I can make the machine to work as accurately as possible, depending upon the algorithm we choose. Next, what are the types of supervised learning we have? So we have two types of supervised learning process we have. One is a classification, another one is going to be a regression. So what is classification and what is regression? So the goal is we have to predict a categorical label or class. Categorical means what class it belongs to. That we call it as a category. Different. So age is a one category, mark is another category, which class he is studying is another category. So to perform the class analysis,